The Jews believed that they were a chosen people. They believed that they were unique and different from everyone else. In the New Testament, the Christians, under Christian belief, says that we are royal priesthood and we are a holy nation. And what this says is that people who aren't chosen are the unchosen, and people who aren't a part of royalty, they're peasants. And what we end up doing is categorizing people and making them different from us. And whenever you think that God has given you privilege and God has given you power, and you think that you are chosen, inevitably, you will commit violence on the people who you think are not royal, who the people who you think are not chosen, who you think the people are unholy, the people who are unrighteous. How we treat them is justified because God has elevated us to this position. We become dangerous. And you can read throughout the whole Bible how people who thought that they had privilege and power from God and how they went in and just took things from people. You take the story of the promised land in the book of Exodus. They had to go in and commit genocide on the people who were the Jebusites and the Hittites, the people who were living in what was called the promised land. They just went in there and killed them and said, we can do this because God told us to go in and just wipe you all out and just take everything you have. Why? Because we're chosen. You see the same thing all over the world. When people think that they are privileged and when they think they have power, they will go in and inevitably they will cause violence on the people who they think that are less than. Believe me, you're looking at an African American where people thought that they had privilege and power over us and they end up enslaving us. Why? Because they thought God, they could go to church and justify that God had given them this privilege and power. It is dangerous, very dangerous, when you think that somehow God has created you and elevated you to a status that puts you above people. Because, see, love is the equalizer. Love can only love itself. Love cannot love anything that's inferior to itself. Love cannot love anyone who they think is superior to them. Love can only love itself. And so when you think that somehow God has elevated you to a place of superiority, it's inevitable that you would cause violence and mistreatment and discrimination and segregation and all the nasty things that the privileged do to those who are less than them. It's time out for us to stop promoting that somehow when we came to God, He somehow lifted us over people. No, He lifted us over ourselves. That's what he did. He made you a better you. He did make you better than someone else. And I think deep down inside, you know it. So we are not chosen. The only thing the Jews were chosen to do was to give their people the Torah law. They were not chosen to be better than anyone else. They're no special than anyone else. And deep down inside, you know it. It's dangerous for you to believe that you're chosen.